In Ghost Recon Wildlands, you play as a ghost, an operative who by definition does not actually exist. You are sent to the country of Bolivia to seek out and destroy the Santa Blanca cartel from the ground up. Wildlands plays as a third-person tactical shooter, with a heavy focus on cooperative gameplay, an open world, and freedom of choice to complete the missions in any order the player sees fit. With a high level of graphical detail and a pretty great sound engine, Wildlands is a game many of us have been waiting for since its announcement years ago. While overall I felt like the beta was a fun experience, Wildlands should never have been given the Ghost Recon title, and there are many gameplay issues that Ubisoft needs to fix before the actual release. My impressions are going to focus on a few main categories, mainly focusing on gameplay, graphics, sound, and then what I hope Ubisoft does between now and release, and my final thoughts and impressions, and if I can recommend a purchase of this title. Overall, I felt like the gameplay was pretty good. There are a great number of things I liked, and a few things I just couldn't get into. I'll start with what I think was the best part of the game, the character customization, and then the weapon customization, or gunsmith. Customizing your character is great. There are literally thousands of different combinations of outfits possible, all the way from your recon sniper bush monster to your regular infantry grunt, all the way down to regular civilian gear. Getting involved with making and creating your character and making it unique to you feels great, and being able to change on the fly to match up with your teammates is quite a cool experience. While the high-level customization is a great feature, all of the items you customize your character with are purely cosmetic, having zero effect on the actual gameplay. For a game trying to advertise itself as a tactical shooter, I expected my ghillie suit to actually allow my ghost to blend into the environment. Not having this feature is a little disappointing. Gunsmith makes a return to Ghost Recon with this title, giving you complete control over your loadout. In the beta, you only have access to a few weapons, but with many more options grayed out until the final release. Each weapon has its own level of customization available. There's different scopes, lasers, foregrips, and even grenade launchers. However, the grenade launchers are in the game as a skill rather than an actual attachment, which I found a bit odd. The only standard attachment that I did not see in the game was a bipod for the one bolt-action rifle found in the beta. However, there are many other bolt-action rifles available in the final release, so there's a possibility we will see bipods in the final game. In the beta, there wasn't really enough parts and weapons to be able to accurately say how different the weapons could actually be. But it seems like there will be a very high level of options, and the player will be able to use those options to shape and define how they wish to play the game. Wildlands offers two ways to play, single player and cooperative, with cooperative being much more enjoyable and single player just a burdensome chore. Co-op play is quite a bit of fun, getting together with your team to recon a base, send out your drone, make a plan and execute that plan flawlessly, or die horribly because someone forgot to equip their suppressor, is really quite a fun experience. Many laughs were had during my playtime, and I enjoyed being able to get a group of 4 together and destroy the cartel and the Unidad forces. If you get together and use good teamwork, communication, and the UI elements, there really is a lot of fun to be had in this game. Single player is so terrible mainly because of the completely idiotic friendly AI. They're essentially useless. I get that this game was designed to be played cooperatively, but if none of my friends are online and no one on matchmaking is using mics, how am I supposed to enjoy this title? During my single player experience, I usually just forget about the AI and go in solo, telling the AI to simply wait outside the base until I'm done with the mission. The enemy AI could also use some work. While many fights are very enjoyable, the enemy AI tends to not be nearly hard enough. Even on the hardest difficulty, a whole camp can be cleared out with relative ease. I will concede that this is likely because we find ourselves in the very starting province on the easiest difficulty level in that province. And hopefully, as we progress in the final game, we'll see more enemies in both variety and in number. The progression of the game is your standard fare. You gain skill points and resources and use those resources to unlock skills to improve your ghost. Some of the skills will add new abilities such as thermal vision or better drones, and some add more damage resistance or running speed. Using the skill tree, there does seem to be some minor specialization you as a player can accomplish. However, most of the skills seem to be fairly generalized. Playing through the beta, I was at first worried about the missions getting repetitive and old, but I found myself deleting my save file and repeating the beta storyline 3 times and still enjoying it every single time. While the side missions were generally go here, steal this, and bring it back, again, I found there were just so many different ways to complete each mission based on how you as a player wanted to play. It was still fun and enjoyable to go back and clear old outposts and go back and redo old missions.
Serious? You can just mow cows down?
Transportation in this game is laughable. The driving feels floaty and wrong like Watch Dogs or even Simpsons Hit and Run. I'm not sure if Ubisoft was trying to make it easy and accessible to their wide player base, but all I think they did was make it an utter joke. After a few hours of play, I was able to get used to it. However, shooting from a moving truck is very difficult, and the best way of transportation is clearly a dirt bike, which doesn't even allow you to ride in tandem with another ghost. Helicopters are even worse. I wish Ubisoft would have just learned from Rockstar and used the control scheme and feel of helicopters from GTA 5, which in my opinion is the gold standard of third-person helicopter flying. The helicopter movement is so janky and weird that it's next to impossible to use a helicopter in any combat scenario. I would love to be able to pilot my team around a base and shoot the place up before landing and attacking on foot. But the inaccuracy of the helicopter controls makes it impossible for your passengers to get rounds on target when shooting from the side of helicopters. Adding simple rudder control would improve the flying mechanics tremendously. Once these transportation issues are hopefully fixed, I think the game will become a lot more immersive and fun. There's also just the myriad of just weird helicopter glitches currently present in the beta.
Oh, Jesus. This is derpy as derpy gets. This is pretty bad, man.
Speaking of immersion, the graphics of Wildlands really starts to shine, if you're playing on PC. I came into this game expecting a lot of texture popping and things blurred at a distance and just the other weirdness we would expect from a Ubisoft open world game. If you're playing on max settings, this game absolutely shines. While I do like the graphics overall, I feel like a bit more could be done with some of the physics in the game, as well as adding more of a variety of NPCs in the world, rather than that same old lady in a straw hat appearing over and over and over again. I cannot speak to the console performance as I've only played the game on PC. Sneaking through the forest feels great. The foliage is well done, the overall environment is put together really well, the weather effects feel dynamic and harsh, and playing at night really adds to your stealth aspects of the game. The draw distance in Wildlands is extremely well done. Going to the max ceiling in a helicopter enables the player to see what feels like this entire world sprawling out in front of them. Mountains and hills range in all directions, which looks like many varied biomes and areas to explore and fight in. I'm really excited to explore this game on release. My only real complaint with the visuals at this point is the player gear, especially the ghillie suits. They need quite a bit of work. I would love to see more dirt and grime on my character, vehicles, and guns as well. Sounds in Wildlands is kind of a mixed bag, but overall I do like it. While the atmospheric sounds are great, the radio is absolutely terrible, and there are a few other things that just leave a bit to be desired. Listening to the wildlife and the wind blowing through the jungle really puts you in the game, and I can't wait to hear what other sounds the different biomes will have. Playing this game with headphones can really put you into the experience. Gun sounds, however, need quite a bit of work, especially when you're unsuppressed. I want my bullets to crack through the forest, and explosives really need more of an audio impact. However, I will say that overall the sound engine feels pretty good. To improve this game, there are many things Ubisoft could do, many of which I've already sort of touched on. The big two, however, are the transportation mechanics and the AI. The driving feels clunky and wrong, and the flying is even worse. If I'm supposed to use squad-based tactics to eliminate the enemy, give me the ability to be precise in my vehicle movements and allow my team to shoot out the windows of the vehicle I'm driving and actually hit something. The friendly AI is abysmal, and while I would like to see some work done, I'm not really expecting it. If the enemy AI improves, however, it'll be because it gets more difficult, and that will be either added based on player feedback or naturally as we progress into other areas of the game. I really think with just a bit of work, this game could go from good to great. There is quite a good foundation here, and with some polish and work, this game could really be a huge hit. I do think we will see a large improvement in the final release, mainly because of how game development works. It can take weeks or even months for a game, patch, or DLC to get the final approval by Sony's and Microsoft QA teams, meaning the build we are currently playing is likely not the build Ubisoft is currently working on. Overall, I would recommend this game with just a few stipulations. The main one, do not buy this game if you are expecting a Ghost Recon game. This game is not Ghost Recon and should never have been labeled Ghost Recon. If you go into this game expecting to have the same old Ghost Recon gameplay we loved from the early 2000s, you're going to be quite disappointed. I feel like Ubisoft should have made Wildlands still, just under its own unique IP. If you go into this game expecting a co-op shooter with some fun elements, freedom of choice, and plenty of area to free roam, you'll enjoy it. I do not recommend this game to those expecting a good single-player experience. Roaming the map with your friends is a blast. We found ourselves constantly on a mission and then seeing a random patch of enemies and getting distracted for 20 to 30 minutes raiding a cartel outpost that didn't really have anything to do with an actual mission. So overall, this is going to be kind of a mixed bag for me. While I personally will be buying this game and playing it quite a bit with my friends, I can see how many players who wanted Ghost Recon will just be disappointed. While the game has many strong points, it also has some glaring weak points and glitches that Ubisoft needs to fix before the final release for this game to succeed. Well, that's going to be all for me for today. Stay tuned for a complete review of the full game in the coming weeks.